Hi.
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 Hey.
How's it going, guys?
All right.
So Nickonerd, you released a few videos recently talking about how you used to be friends with Tipster, right?
Friendship. Not
You used
quite
to be, well, you used to be his moderator.
a viewer. Yeah, for like a bit.
What's a bit? How long's that?
I don't know, like a month or three. Really
Month
not that
or-
long.
one to 3 months, no problem. Okay. And so why did you end
Yeah,
up leaving
no.
the moderation team? What's the story there exactly?
I don't know if it was like moderation team. He just kind of like demodded me, and then there was some issues he had with some criticism I said. I guess I don't know exactly what. He doesn't really tell people, what it is on his mind or what's on his back. He says absolutely nothing, and then just tends to kick or ban people when he feels like it.
So were
This be
you
his thing.
banned too then? Is that what happened?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so why were you banned?
I'm not sure exactly. He hasn't really specified.
Okay? So it wasn't anything to do. Where does the story with this 16-year-old who was in distress come in? What's that?
Okay,
Where does that come
so
in here?
if you want me to start from the top, she joined in the server around a bit after I started in there, and
Sorry.
it was on for a while. She was on talking about a couple of topics about things she was going through, this and
Like
that.
in May or like about what time frame?
I mean, I don't know if you're on the right mic.
Probably around February, I guess, was when this happened. I'm estimating. Then she comes in. She was very open about being trans in terms of joining the server. I think she was even part of Keffel's server for some time. I don't know how long. But it turned out in a situation she was like having a crisis moment where she was having a meltdown in the general chat. And me and another moderator stepped in to try and help her out. And through some discussions, it turns out that she was going through a lot in school and she was basically left alone for like a year or two already by her parents. Like, this is a situation where she was basically afraid of like being kicked out if they found out about her.
They were away from the. You said the parents were abroad. What is the situation here?
Well, they work overseas.
Okay.
Basically, they never see her or are there for her. Literally.
Okay.
And I would say she's not exactly out to them yet, but she was trying to seek like communities, and I guess worst case scenario, she came into Keffel's and Tipster's groups as a result. So mostly I was intervening trying to calm her down from suicide, because that was the big issue. And because she was afraid of her parents kicking her out, cutting her off the money they were sending her, yeah, I offered her assistance because it was actually a really critical situation where she would have been like homeless pretty much. That's why I offered her that.
I guess I would wonder why you're trying to have, or why you're putting yourself in the position where you're trying to talk this person down from suicide. Why are you not referring them to just professional services?
We did. We offered
but,
her.
But you shouldn't then get generally you shouldn't then get personally involved. You should just give them the emergency numbers and disconnect, not become involved in the situation. That's generally what the advice would be.
That's fair.
Do
was
you not
a really
okay,
critical situation.
Well,
it was just an offer.
Why
was one of the offers.
Okay, but why was it?
It was one of the suggestions because
it
became critical to the point where she really exhausted her options, and at some point we offered, okay, maybe you just need to sleep on it for now.
What's she doing now?
Oh no, she's already found a specialist and everything. Everything's fine now.
She's found a so she hadn't exhausted her options, had she?
No, but she was going through them to an extent.
But they had, so she hadn't exhausted her.
concern.
Okay, sorry. So you're saying she exhausted her options, and that's why she offered. That's why you offered a place for her to stay. Yeah, you're telling me now that well, actually, she hadn't.
School was
she hadn't but she hadn't exhausted her options. You just said she hadn't.
Yeah, I don't know exactly where she found it. I directed her to call her local city hall to verify if there was any other options. So she did that eventually. She was obviously in distress. You know, we told her to take a break. It was just one suggestion, but I was just bringing up what happened in a certain scenario in the server. You know, she's on her own now. She's doing okay.
Yeah, but
as far as I'm aware.
I don't know why you involved. I'm sort of lost on why you involved yourself and why you made an offer for this person to stay with you.
Because in her area, there really wasn't a lot of options.
But they're clearly.
I knew direct resources.
There are enough options
to be assisted here.
What?
No, there are enough options, as I found out that she did find them.
So, but those options obviously existed. They obviously existed the whole time. So the options weren't exhausted, and they did exist.
Sure, but she was.
So you offered
harassed by some of the social workers.
She was being harassed by social workers.
Yeah,
about being suicidal. She was being harassed by social workers about being suicidal. That's what you're saying?
And she wasn't going to be quite open. Yes, because other people have been arrested by force for that. But there is a concern of that. It is a reality in some places.
You mean like a 5150 type thing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So you offered her to stay at your house instead? I don't understand the thinking here.
I offered her to come over so that I could direct her to a juvenile center.
Why?
That was my intention.
The options were not exhausted.
That were helping her.
Okay, you know proper resources that would help her. What resources?
Yeah, I knew the resources in my area specifically for juveniles.
Okay.
Because there are centers that help with displaced juveniles of all kinds.
There are resources
like
that in most places in the first world. It doesn't require you to transport to a different country. It doesn't require you to transfer to a different country, does it?
And okay, I understand.
And you can find most of this on Google. Obviously, are you personally involved? Sorry, are you personally involved in any of the organizing for any of these organizations, or are you have you ever worked with them in any way? Have you
spoke with communities locally? Yes, I have.
You spoke with communities locally. What does that mean?
I have access to resources where I could direct someone like that.
Okay, through what?
Through the women's center here. There's plenty of other sources.
Okay, you have connections at the women's center. That's what you're saying.
Exactly.
And
I have been to those areas. I have.
And that's the resources for juveniles that you were. The resources for juveniles that you're intimately familiar with. All the community organizing you know is the women's center.
It would direct her to that. The problem is that there's way more resources here.
It just doesn't sound like you actually. It just doesn't sound like you actually know that much about what the local services or organizations do. Yet you're claiming you do, and that's the reason why you had to invite.
I don't think you do, but you're being argumentative instead of understanding my position.
I'm questioning the position that doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me that you would claim to be so intimately familiar. I understand you're saying you're willing to help this person. It doesn't sound like you did a very good job of it, and it doesn't sound like your goals were very well thought out here.
Oh, everything else was thought out. We gave her plenty of other options.
But it wasn't all thought out because you've already said that you thought all her options were exhausted. That's why you offered her a place to stay. But
yes,
it turned out
and I offered her that as another option. I think you're hyper-focusing on that issue a little too much, other than the bigger picture that happened. The option.
Well, how is it
it was just part of what I mentioned and what happened. Okay. Why did I offer her? Because if there wasn't any options she really had, I said, at this final resort, you can come here. And I know plenty of resources because in her area...
But you don't know the resources. You're
lying. There's a lot of resources that were hostile.
That's not true. You don't
know my own cities.
Okay, but put yourself in like those parents' position, right? Like whether or not they're there or not. Because like, what do you even mean by they weren't around? Like, were they literally gone, or were they
live overseas? They work overseas. Sorry, they work overseas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So imagine like a kid. So imagine a kid just goes and like goes with you. There's no like message. There's no nothing. They just disappear, and their kid's missing. Whether or not they're around or not, that's still their child. And so, like, then you have that aspect of where it's essentially could turn into like a kidnapping scenario, which puts you in a very dangerous position, whether it's legal or otherwise. And on top of that, like, what if things don't work out between you two? Then that person's on the streets. And what if they don't make it? Or what if something happens on the way? Like, there's so many things that could happen.
Connection.
And on top, if you don't mind me
but
asking,
absolutely, I do agree with your side. That's why we were trying to press her. As a final resort, I have offered that as a solution. It wasn't that it was the main option I was offering the girl. It was only if she didn't find anything in her area. I suggested local shelters she could try. I told her to get in contact with
if you don't mind me asking, how long have you been out of like homelessness? And by out of homelessness, what exactly do you mean?
5-10 years I've been homeless. And in terms of that, I have been shelter to shelter. So I'm not one to sleep on the streets.
Technically
if you understand.
Out of homelessness yet.
Right.
Okay. And,
no, I'm in a unit right now.
I
am actually safe now.
Oh, you are?
That's what I'm saying.
For about how long, if you don't mind me asking?
Right now? Oh, absolutely 5 years.
5 years? Okay. Well, and do you say you're stable as far as like where you're living and your work and like, do you work?
I wouldn't say I work, but I am in a stable place, yes. I have resources that are
there's a lot, for me personally, for somebody, whether or not they're trans or whatever, it's a lot for me to think of a 16-year-old going to somebody that's still kind of getting on their feet or just got out on their feet or doesn't necessarily do like the status quo of existing in society, of having a job and having a stable place to live, and going to you and saying, hey, have this kind of life that I'm kind of living, and I know that you are trans or whatever you identify as, but like, you gotta understand.
She was going to end up homeless anyway. That was my concern.
But she didn't end up homeless, did she?
Safer. No, but I'm saying if she had that happen to her, that she could find those places. That's what I was saying. As a last resort, if she ended up being kicked out by her parents, that was one of her fears. I was saying if it absolutely comes to that, you can come here.
Okay, do you understand how this is a perfect example of why you shouldn't have gotten yourself involved in this situation in the first place? You're not in a position to be making these sorts of decisions. Sorry, but I believe you've said in a video that you have hoarding issues. Do you think that's an environment to be inviting a child to?
Do you assume that the hoarding is bad enough that I would invite the child?
I think any amount of
any hoarding,
if you're inviting a child, any hoarding if you're inviting a child,
it's hoarding in a certain level. Of course, I clean up.
There's not an acceptable level of hoarding.
Hoarding is a side effect from homelessness that is something that needs to be continually worked on. I know because I know stuff that like, but that's what he's trying to tell you. Like, you still have your own stuff to work on, and even offering it as a last resort. I'm trying to level with you, Abby.
It's okay. Let me just explain. Because of the place she was in was very hostile. There's a lot of shootings. There's a lot
I 100% understand. I 100% understand.
That's why I say the places here were safer, and there's a lot safer places. It was only a last resort if she ended up that way.
I almost really hitchhiked across fucking America to get the fuck away from my parents. I get it. I understand what you're saying. I luckily had a pastor help me and talk to me that my parents knew, and they calmed me down. But that's a credible resource. That's somebody that actually works with teenagers, works with those people, and does what they need to do.
Accountable to the local community isn't some rando online.
And that's what I was trying to.
But it's not what you were trying to do. You were trying to remove this person from the environment they were in. You were trying to separate them from their pre-existing connections.
And maybe a 5150 call is a good way to go. Like,
I wasn't just removing her out.
To me, like, you know what I mean?
I was just saying.
Randoms on the internet.
Wait. Abby, hold on. Let Nico explain what's up. Sorry.
I only gave her that option as a last resort if she ended up on the street and she had nothing else to go to. I absolutely gave her the options. I told her to go to City Hall first. And I believe she did. I don't know exactly what she did. She found support, thankfully. I don't know who she found to talk to. She didn't open up with that. As far as that goes, that's her business right now. And I assume she's out at that place by now, hopefully. So, Like, the girl is certainly going through a lot. We just wanted to offer her some options so that she wasn't completely, like, left alone. And in terms of if you're concerned about my position, I have plenty of ways to get things that I need just fine. That's why I'm saying that everything's perfectly okay if I had the option of that to help her, to extend that. I just wanted to extend a hand. Be like, if it's absolutely necessary, if it absolutely comes to that.
It's just totally inappropriate for you to be extending that hand, and the reasons you've given for extending it are bizarre. The idea that you've got connections, well, you call yourself a digital activist. Can you explain that more as well?
Like, in terms of sharing information online and that, yes, I have talked a bit on that.
Yeah. So I'm just curious because it seems like you're talking about, all these people in the community, all this stuff about emulation, all these people in the emulator scene, you know all about digital activism, you're a digital activist, you've done all this stuff, but it just doesn't seem like there's any evidence of that. And it just seems like constantly, whenever I press you on...
I was talking on the side with other people. Now, if you're
when
pressing on that, that's
when I just
pressed
you on your connections with local community resources, it seemed like you had nothing. You just turned around, you told me that you had all these, you knew everything about all these juvenile services that exist in your city. Then when I press, the only thing you mention is, oh, I was going to refer to the women's center.
Nothing though, and you assume.
No, but it doesn't say. But you talked it up quite a lot. So now I would just like to hear a little bit, if you could, talk on your digital.
No, you assume I don't have the ability just because of that. Just because I mentioned a few resources, I absolutely know local resources.
No, I asked you about local resources, and you didn't seem to be able to talk about it at any length or with any depth. Even though I repeatedly
into how much depth.
Well, sure. So you said you
shelters.
What do you know about What do you know about local? What do you know about your local juvenile resources other than just that there's a women's center?
There is juvenile center there as well. There is juvenile services specifically for juveniles that are located in this area, more so than where she was living.
Okay, you keep saying there's juvenile services specifically for juveniles located in this area, more so than in her area. You're not actually saying, you're not telling me anything about the services in your area or anything. You're not displaying any level of knowledge or familiarity with the systems or organizations that are in your area, despite claiming that you had so much knowledge.
Google search on the map.
It would be a quick Google search in her place as well. Where do you understand how this doesn't make any sense?
Yes, that is correct.
The reasoning.
I didn't find any juvenile resources.
But the reasoning you gave was that you were familiar with the resources in your area, so it would be better for this girl to come to you.
Absolutely.
But you're not familiar with the resources in your area. You're saying you need to Google them.
People and volunteers here being a lot safer than the ones in her area.
Based on what?
That was why. Based on the fact that I've had personal experiences with these organizations that are helping people.
Have you had personal experiences with the ones in her area?
Not directly, but I know.
Well, then how would you know that? Then how would you know the ones in your area are so much safer? How would you know the ones in your area are so much safer?
Because there are specific interracial services that deal with people of her, ethnicity as well.
I'm all about.
In terms of that, there are very specialized resources for that as well. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, in terms of, like, other ethnicities, minority. That was part of it.
Okay, so tell us about the digital activism, then.
Well, I've been around sharing information with whoever. Been in a couple of chats, sharing important things. In general, with that Illuminati topic I brought up with Tipster, but before that, I brought up other.
So you talk about drama in Discord. Is that what you mean by digital activism?
In terms of certain information that benefits activist motives, absolutely.
So you, okay,
that's the point.
Right? So you just talk about stuff in Discord. That's your digital activism.
Sharing direct information about the Illuminati issue. And other information like with Owen, is it his online name? Owen Morgan. I shared him.
You mean posting like content links, like content suggestion links, right? You mean like watching YouTube videos and saying
news, articles, anything related to the prevalent issues.
Okay, yeah.
there's enough people that do that as well, I'm sure.
Yeah, they
I'm
just
not
don't
saying
call
I'm
themselves digital activists.
special.
They call themselves like the HNT or diggers or yeah.
There's
So
different words for it, sure.
yeah, there's different words for it. So what else was there? Fuck. Abby, have you got anything here? Let me just see if I've got anything else.
I guess.
Oh, sorry. Wait. Sorry. I had to ask. Was there? You said that in your last video, Nickonerd, that you knew someone in the emulator community who had been harassed by Kiwi Farms. So, did you want to talk about that at all?
I'm not sure the full information, but it was one that created the Super Nintendo emulator.
Oh, did you know them?
Trans. Not directly, but the community
okay.
does.
Right. Oh, okay.
That's what I mean. I don't have the information on that yet.
You thought okay, so you didn't know Bew. You just sort of said you did. Okay, got you. All right, Abby, go for it. Sorry.
No, I didn't mean that I knew him or said I did. I meant that I knew people in the community that have connections to him. But in terms of that, yeah, the community does tend to know each other, even though we don't directly talk.
Right.
In that sense, if it makes sense.
Sort of like a hive mind, almost. Like a psychic link.
No. Lots of people discuss different emulation and that between the communities. Happens all the time. Especially when it was a pretty big deal that they were gone and that the death certificate was shared within my community. So, yeah, it becomes pretty personal.
Yeah, I can imagine. Abby, did you want to ask about Tipster?
I did. I have a few questions. We'll kind of go back a little bit. So it kind of seemed like you were kind of new to like YouTube space. Is that correct? That I got from the first video?
Yeah. I wasn't really intending that to be too viral.
Okay, yeah, I don't understand that, but before we get there, real quick, how long about have you been in I guess watching YouTube videos is a good part, and like what community did you start in? I guess is a good way to start.
In terms of what, like way
like
back?
Were you in Keffel's community? Were you watching did you starting watching the videos more often like 2 years ago? Like where did you kind of start with all that? Because how did you end up at Tipster? It's kind of
with capsules and Tipster. And I'm not quite sure. I think I was looking for somebody to give more information on the Illuminati issue, since sharing it with him was my intention to make it a bigger story. But sharing it in his community also by proxy gets shared to other communities too. So in that sense... Are we
talking about YouTube Illuminati? Just to make sure I'm on the same page.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Sorry, just making sure. Yeah. Okay, so...
I felt like at the time that he had the good voice for that topic, so that's why...
And were you aware of like all the prior commentary stuff that had happened and like him leaving?
No, because like literally I was off of YouTube for those couple of years.
Okay.
So yeah, I didn't catch all that.
And so then, because he was already ingrained with Keffels at that point, I'm assuming. So did you kind of merge over there as well?
By proxy, kind of like.
in Xanderhall.
Yeah, I was in and out of his live streams, and then.
So how long have you been doing this online activism for then?
A couple of years in and out.
So, okay. Sorry, I'm trying to think about how I want to direct that. So you were closer to Tipster? Like, did you guys talk one-on-one, or was this kind of like you just existed there?
I just kind of joined the community, and he needed some extra mods and appointed me.
Yeah, I mean,
like otherwise, yeah.
Yeah, no, I got modded and demodded in less than a week, so life happens. But I also didn't. What do you know? Like the basic internet rules of like not doxing people.
Yes, there is a law that says not to reveal too much information.
Yeah.
No, I tried to do it within the bounds of what I figured was legal, but of course I realized that video was overkill, and it was dumb. I won't deny that.
You want to be a content creator, you told me?
Not really.
But you just said that to me.
Kinda, but not really. I said I really didn't want to be. It's not that I intended to.
You want to deal with all this stuff, is what you're trying to say.
Well, no, that's not exactly what I meant in the video at all. The rough talk of the video was for, like, past followers of another channel I had that came over. So, when it came out a little bit further, yes, the information was shared to an extent. Now, I did say it was overkill, that video. But it was shared to an extent for people who wanted to know that information. That
do you intend on making more like videos and stuff, like just about anything?
I wanted to do gaming mainly. It wasn't like really important on my list.
So you're still making. I
said it was just one-off.
What you still want to do, whether or not it's a video or streaming or whatever, right?
I guess.
So I'm kind of just trying to tell you that, like, there's optics to all this stuff. Like, what's important in the law and what's important online are going to be relatively similar, but also have varying degrees of severity. So, like, when you do something that's like roughly doxing where Tipster exists and where his job is, it's kind of hard to like you're going to get a lot of ridicule for that. Like, do you understand that is why that happened?
I realize that now. No, honestly, I was just putting it on.
Sorry, I suppose just 1 second. Sorry, I suppose on that topic, Nickonerd, is it true you're upset about the sort of Chud reacting to your video on stream? Do you want to talk about that a little bit? I heard you had some issues with the way Chud treated the situation.
I can't remember exactly what I said in my last video on it. It was more so how it was just really focused on, like, automatically making me out like I was being a creep. I wasn't trying to be. Yeah, I suppose it wasn't really the best option, but in terms of, like, how I was explaining it, didn't come off exact.
I suppose more specifically,
like I say, I'm not really used to.
The way he used his platform, you said something about, you know, blasting it to his audience, and that you didn't want it blasted.
Well,
it seemed like you did.
That's just it. Like, no, I posted it there to be shared to find its way to Tipster, because I'm not in the server anymore.
Okay.
So wanted more so. Look, my options are usually when there's a channel that sells self-promotion in a Discord channel. Often that's just to share amongst the people within the Discord server. I have not seen a channel that does what Chud does with it. So that was just kind of new to me.
What do you mean?
My thing was, if he wants to...
It's a public Discord server, right? Anyone can go in there and just look at the channel and see what's posted there if they want to find new content to look at, or... I mean, that's what it's...
That's right, but usually the content creator doesn't meddle with what's in self-promotion. That's why.
Sure, but the second video you put in Chud's inbox, though, right? And so that
and I didn't appreciate how he overreacted to what I was saying. That was all. Because it might have been out of context. It doesn't sound exactly the best thing to say. But in terms of that, I guess I wasn't really paying attention to what I said, because it was kind of on a tangent as well. Okay. Most of my video was pertaining to addressing the other video that I made.
So why did you make the initial video? You made it. Did you think it was important to spread the word, or what was the motivation here? Because I don't understand how you're squaring this circle of, yeah, so I made this video about a relevant trending drama topic, shitting on a guy that everyone else is shitting on, posted it publicly on YouTube, put it in a self-promotion channel in Discord, but I didn't want a lot of people to see it.
Well, I didn't expect the amount of reach it had to Chud's live stream. My point was I overthought the information. I thought, like, if I'm going to say that Tipster is getting this much, then I got to provide some sort of receipt. And I overdid it. Obviously, I overkilled it. And Chud did address that And that was what I was working on to cut it out for later, but like at this point I don't even know if it really matters anymore.
You also claimed that Tipster was sending DMs to minors asking if they wanted to see his tip. Is that what's the deal with that?
There was a situation where that was actually a conversation amongst another streamer, I think. Sorry if I can't remember who, I'm not good with names.
Okay.
Okay, but you did you see any of this stuff happen with like the Minecraft people lately? Or, like she got tickled and everybody like canceled them over nothing?
Yeah, actually I heard that.
Okay, so could you understand why people would get concerned at minimum with somebody saying that they talked to a 16-year-old and told them that they could come to their house?
I understand there's a lot of that going on. I just find that if you're going to pick apart something like that, like you're going to need evidence to back up that claim. If you're going to accuse someone of a creep, at least have some other evidence with it.
Well, it's
I do understand how it can come off.
It's inherently creepy to most, especially with how this side of the internet is. Like even in Tipster's old content, he would probably agree, and because that was what you used to watch, right? That like an older adult, like over at any age of 18, let's just say 25 and older, saying, hey, you can come stay with me at 17 or 16 is gonna come off bad. I mean, the guy just like, you know, endgamed over it recently.
Okay, but let me point this out. The other moderator who was with me encouraged it and said that they like that the teenagers should
be
trust me.
Checked too. I don't know.
Well, there you go. Like if that was like, what Tipster was pissed off about, then go after the other moderator too. That became his goth mommy recently.
Oh, don't expect people to be fair online. Tipster isn't fair. Tipster's never been fair.
Oh, I know. I know. It's just, you know, it's ridiculous because she was there trying to help out this girl as well, and decides to all of a sudden fuck off and decide to say that the girl is crazy and blah blah blah. Like I hate this dismissal. Like the girl was hurt by that.
He did the same thing to Colton. To be fair, Colton is fucking nuts.
Oh yeah, Colton.
Yep.
I don't know. He says that to a lot of people. He just like blows up. He did it to another closer friend of his too.
Okay, sorry. I have a lot of requests asking about the microwave eggs. Can you elaborate on those?
Oh, this is a video on TikTok. I don't know what's the big deal about that. Yeah. I don't know what the issue about that is. It's just a video on my TikTok.
I agree. This is a retarded line of questioning, and I agree. There's nothing wrong with it.
All right, okay. Back to the point. Okay, so what did the parents? Back to the kid with the parents. What did you know that they knew about her or them, whatever, being suicidal or whatever they were going through?
They definitely opened up about wanting to give up and just give up on everything that they were trying to live for. That's why. It was. I don't know the exact full conversation. I couldn't give you the word-for-word details, but it was pretty obvious. She was in a meltdown crisis in the chat. Like, that was the thing. The fact, when she mentioned that her parents were not there at all times, that's when we were, like, trying to pitch in. My issue is when servers treat people in a crisis like that as, like, we can't handle it and just kick them out as if that's going to help.
But you can't.
I don't think anybody.
Wait, but you can't handle it. That you should kick them out. That's the right thing to do.
Depends. I disagree, but
you've already shown you've displayed ineptitude. You've shown irresponsibility and poor decision making. You've said that you're a hoarder, yet you invited the 16-year-old to live with you. You were offering that as an option, despite not having clearly explored.
I mentioned I was a hoarder as like something I struggle with, but that doesn't mean I'm not capable of helping someone.
You've admitted that
you don't actually. Capable of
you've admitted
things
that
up.
You don't actually know about the local services and organizations that exist to help young people, yet you are offering this person to come and live with you anyway. So you've displayed.
But you keep cycling back to this, not knowing my local services when I have looked into it.
But you don't. But you clearly don't.
I absolutely do.
You acted like you were very familiar with them, like you could get them set up super easy. You weren't. You were Google searching stuff.
I'm familiar with the services that will set them up to that. Exactly.
Okay. Well, the point is that you've shown irresponsibility, and you injecting yourself into that situation is more likely to have a negative outcome.
You can keep calling it irresponsibility. I stepped up to become a mentor and to help this person if they were in
it's not your job. You should not be a mentor. You should not be putting yourself in that situation. That is irresponsible.
Oh well, that's your opinion. I offered that as an option.
Oh well, this is about you're claiming to care
because
about
you
this miner's
cycle back and forth.
You're claiming to care about this miner's welfare.
You dismiss my knowledge. You dismiss what I know.
Because you're
displaying how I understand
you lack
that.
knowledge. You are displaying that you lack knowledge.
They are perfectly fine right now because we were able to de-escalate the situation. It was an offer.
I'd say that you are able to go and like get the help you need when you need it, and that's not necessarily like a stable person. And I'm just saying again, I'm just trying to say from my experience, like I would want somebody that has like a stable
because
home and
I struggle
income and actually goes and work. I'm not saying that.
No, but you are saying that just because I'm getting help I need, that I'm not stable. So I deal with depression. That doesn't mean I'm not intelligent and I can't deal with being stable on a regular day. All right?
But you still use
on an everyday basis, that's fine. I still struggle with clinical depression. That's normal for a lot of people.
Okay. I have anxiety, PTSD, and depression. Doesn't mean anything. Like I am just trying to say, like it doesn't change the fact that like you still go in and get outside help. That like from what I understand, do you have like a 40-hour work week? Like do you go to work every day or 4 times 6? However many days a week.
Is that necessary to become a mentor?
I think
having your life having your life together is a prerequisite for being a mentor.
I disagree. That's just status quo bullshit.
It's just
you can go on about that.
Interfacing with society,
no, it absolutely
learning to interface with society in a responsible way where you can achieve your goals and sustain yourself.
With society, you don't think I go out and socialize and interface with people?
Is a key part of you don't interface. You don't interface. Sorry, excuse me. Stop talking for a moment, Nico. Stop.
You don't think I interface with people? That is already incorrect.
You don't have a job. You don't have a job. You don't have a. You're not.
I have worked for a company, and then that happened that they fired me. You want me to go into that fucking story?
Yeah, please.
You're absolutely ridiculous.
Well, how did you get fired from your job?
I didn't do nothing. It was fiscal year. They were making cuts.
How long ago was that?
5 years ago as well.
5 years ago.
It is possible to like, but that's, I'm just, okay, let me start over. I've done that. I've been there. I got fired twice, or got let go twice because of COVID, same job. Obviously the world stopped and then I lost my job. So I didn't have work for a minute, and then getting back on your feet is hard, 100%. But it is possible. And that's all I'm saying. Like I personally have been
getting back on my feet.
Personally, I could never, especially if a kid that I do not know, I could never in my position offer a place to stay to anybody else, let alone a kid who needs solid support and help.
Now, absolutely, I do agree. That's why I was going to bring her to another resource. Obviously, her parents were not being stable and supportive. That was my concern. As far as that goes, I am on disability. I have a place where I'm at right now with a roommate, and we get along extremely well. In terms of that, I have way too many issues where I can't work just any regular job.
For sure. I still get emails about stay at home, work from home jobs. I get emails about part-time jobs. I'm actually about to cut my work down because of my injuries that I have from my car accident, but like I do not like it. Like I want to be able to do the most, but sometimes you got to work with the life and the restrictions and all that stuff that you have. Like just stopping and not going forward and just like being okay with the circumstances is again, it's kind of hard for me to be like, oh yeah, you're an activist when or you're trying to help all these kids or give them the right direction when like you're not necessarily in the position to be able to do that.
I wouldn't say that. I could definitely bring her to a resource that would be very helpful. That's all I was saying. Now, it's fair enough to say that she
know these resources. You don't. Why do you keep acting like you know the resources? Like you're intimately familiar with the community. You don't. You said yourself you were going to have to Google it. It was also
I am familiar with the community. I do know the people at the Women's Center that can help redirect her to the proper sources.
Okay, so
it is definitely
you
enough.
recognize how you've like totally oversold the level of the level of familiarity you have with the services. You acted as if you were like.
No, I haven't oversold it.
You have, because this doesn't give you any special expertise in helping this person. Just knowing some people at the Women's Center, probably from when you've had a time when you needed help from them. That I don't think that's sufficient.
No, I've had communication with them about this
to a different country.
I've had this communication with one of the specialists at the center who was a psychologist at the hospital. And in terms of that, she had said that if I bring this teen over, then they can definitely help her. Absolutely.
They encouraged you to bring this teen over. Is that what you're saying? You're saying you actually spoke to me about this and they encouraged you to do that?
That's right. And she's a psychologist at the mental hospital.
You told them the situation was that you met a 16-year-old online who said they wanted to kill themselves. And the specialist psychologist at the hospital told you.
And I explained the entire scenario of her situation. That's right.
Okay, nobody is going to believe that, but that's all right.
All right. That's the problem with the internet. And so you can keep arguing about it, but
explain to me the timeline on this. Explain to me the timeline on this. So when did you meet this this trans girl, and when did you go to the hospital to have a conversation about them?
No, this was a specialist at the Women's Center who was working at the hospital.
Okay.
In terms of that, this was around the same timeline, the day after.
It was the day after. So how long were you in communication with this 16-year-old for?
About a week and keeping updates on how she was doing and where she was at.
Does that
just to ensure she was fine.
Are you still
not really.
Updates? Not really.
No. Other than she has mentioned to me that she has a specialist now that's helping her, social worker. That's what she's updated me on. But in terms of that, I have no personal involvement in her life, so that's on her. All I've told her is if there's anything you need before in DMs. That's it. But she hasn't been in desperate need, so it's fine for now.
But she was never in desperate need of a place to stay, it doesn't sound like.
Well, as long as she's still getting the support from her parents, nah.
But she was never in need.
It was a concern she
never
had.
Needed to go to your place, did she? Though you still haven't. It doesn't feel like you've really justified that. But
well, no, it's probably just based on how she was thinking at the time. But in terms of what could happen, it could to anybody. That's what I'm saying.
Okay,
but I wouldn't overthink it.
You should not be doing this stuff. You will do more harm than good putting yourself in these situations. I mean, you're on a Discord call right now, like, struggling with this. This is not a particularly contentious interaction. You're struggling with it quite a lot. That you're not the sort of person who should be counseling suicidal teenagers over the internet. This is why people are told to just refer them to the suicide.
Well, I'm struggling with the fact that you were harassing me over being previously homeless and hoarding.
Where's the harassing? Where's the harassment?
Yeah. That's okay.
Well, where's the
I think
harassment?
he's genuinely curious. I feel like I kind of agree. If you're hoarding, it's not necessarily good living conditions. Whether it gets better or worse, it's
Well,
still,
no, it is
like,
getting
a
better.
problem. Well,
Of course
but what
it
if
is.
like tomorrow, like some shit happens where you like break your leg or something, and then the hoarding continues and you cannot get better? Then what?
Depends on what the hoarding is. There is no build-up. That's it.
But what we're trying to say is the hoarding itself is
It's more
inherently bad.
complicated. Oh, absolutely. In terms of the level of hoarding that I've seen, yes, but it isn't that level of hoarding. In terms of trying to clean up the mess, it is ADHD issues. But then you're digging into a whole other situation that I've mentioned on my channel. So, I don't know, I just wanted to go back to streaming and gaming.
Okay. What do you deal with any other teenagers, or is this like the only one?
This is the only one I've confronted in terms of a crisis situation like this.
Confronted?
I wouldn't necessarily do this necessarily.
Okay, but like communications with teenagers, that's a common thing then? Just not like this?
No. I have not approached teenagers like that at all.
So you confronted. So you saw them. They were typing. What sort of things were they typing in Tipster's Discord or Keffel's Discord when you confronted them?
Well, I did mention it, and it was about her being alone and without her parents for several years, and that she was going through a lot of school troubles.
Sorry.
Wanting to end
sorry. One second. The thing that
I don't have proof. It was in his server. No. I'm out of it.
It's
now.
It's okay. The proof doesn't matter. We can just gauge with the statements as they stand. You said the reason you started talking to this person was because you heard they didn't have their parents around.
Yeah, that's what they talked about in the general chat. They were basically having a meltdown.
So give me a rough...
About all kinds of issues.
Key points of what they said here. Their parents aren't around. In this meltdown, what were they saying? Their parents aren't around. What else?
That they were feeling alone, and then they wanted to just give up because they were failing school. It was basically that type of a line.
Got you.
So of course I'd rather, help someone who, if I can understand, I've been through some situation similar as my parent, but not as extensive. So I wanted to, at least offer some help to help bring her back. Because that is a thing. You don't have to be an expert to at least give somebody some compassion. If there is a point where it gets to a point where you logically can help someone, of course you give them other options. To
you give them the
call
other
this hotline and that.
Or what you send them to. Because you're more likely
to because we did offer them the suicide hotline and everything else. Like I said, I did go on a tangent in that video. It was an option I offered to her as a last resort. Because we were going through the list, and she was like, no, I don't think so. That wouldn't work for me. Because there really wasn't any, nearby options
you
she could
this
immediately
is exactly
think of.
Why you're being told that you shouldn't have involved yourself in this situation. Because the idea that you're sitting there and trying to come up with new things to add to a list of things that a 16-year-old should do before they kill themselves, and in the effort to try and come up with things they should do before killing themselves, you offer a place to live, potentially forming essentially like a trauma bond with a 16-year-old is what you're doing there. That's why you're told not to get involved in these situations.
Look, it's a fair point. I was just trying to bring her down, and probably not the best line, but I did offer it. So, in terms of that, it's fair enough to say it was a trauma bond. I could see that. But I had offered her the City Hall, the suicide hotline, and we told her to take a rest and think about it before she ever made a decision like that.
Wait, did she call the suicide hotline?
I'm not exactly sure if she did, but as far as I know, she went to City Hall. But that's as far as I know about it.
I feel like if it was that dire, I would have immediately just had them do that and never would have suggested what you suggested.
I know. No, I did offer the suicide hotline first. I know it sounds like I suggested that first. It wasn't.
No, you said it was the last thing. Sorry.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else, Kuihman?
No, I don't have anything else. No, I think unless there's anything I've missed, people want to quickly shout about.
Oh, so you said that you do gaming mods, or that you're in a Discord where they do gaming mods?
Oh yeah, I know.
Right?
I've got another one as well. Sorry.
Yeah. What are you curious about that?
Well, you were just saying that you hadn't talked to like minors really like that before, so I'm just trying to figure out like because you said there was minors in that Discord, correct?
Oh yeah, I'm saying there's all kinds of people that start at 13 with coding and that. So we just give them resources to learn coding and that. That's just about it. It's a community Discord. It's not my personal one in particular.
Yeah, but that wasn't really. Sorry, I'm just trying to say that wasn't necessarily a question I asked you. We were just trying to clarify that because I asked if you talk to minors like anywhere else, and so you have more or less, whether it's for coding or otherwise, right?
Yeah, sure. There's like all kinds and all kinds of community servers, but directly.
I'll just let you know with like my existing on the internet, I don't talk to minors. Like I don't talk to anyone that's under 18, except my nephew is the only one, and that's a whole thing. But I haven't talked to him in 10 years. He's my brother's kid. But that is it. Everybody else gets immediately blocked for this reason. And like it's more of a preventative thing, not only for them to keep them safe, but for you to stay out of stuff like this. You understand
That's
that,
fair.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever
I
think
will
about that
consider what you have said. Yes, I understand. Maybe I have considered overstepping with this teenager. That to be said.
No, but you did overstep. I think that's kind of a thing.
No, yeah, with offering that, absolutely. I do consider that as the situation, of course. And yeah, next time I just won't offer that if it comes up again. In terms of that, I still want to help people step down from, that situation when somebody is suicidal. That is like the mental health I support. There are mental health support groups and other servers for that reason, for people who need it.
Yeah, but those groups have training, accountability, oversight. You're not the person to be doing that. There's a reason why we have these organizations. It's so people like you don't try and do it.
Yeah, that's absolutely fair. And that's why we offered her the suicide hotline. Now, in terms of Discord servers, there is a lot of other struggling communities.
That you spoke to the 16-year-old about the Vosh, Lolly, and Zoophilia drama?
That was something she brought up, that she was in these other servers, and I said that's more of a concern. And told her that she should step out of those groups and not be involved.
What groups? Vosh is
like these
server
other adults. Yeah. That's a real problem.
It sounded like you said that she was familiar with the topics of Lolly and Zoophilia or something like that, was what you said, I thought. And that you spoke about that.
Yes. Not me to her. She was what brought up the fact that she was with these types of people and servers. That was the real issue. What my point was is that there should be concern about the types of adults she was interacting with. That's why. Vosh and the Zoophile group. Like, someone that young shouldn't be allowed in those channels at all. So I don't know why there's people who allow it. That's the fucked up part.
You're talking to them in DMs as well. Like, how can you act like it's fucked up for them to let them in the server when you're...
I have not talked to those people.
No, you've spoken to... No, you've spoken to Mike. Wait, what? Okay, what group? What people?
Just that she has brought up meeting people who are into Zoophile. I have not interacted with these people at all. She was what brought up the information to me, and I told her she should get away from those people. I'm concerned about what type of people in those servers are allowing that.
They met them where? What, in Vosh's server or?
Potentially.
Well, okay, so you don't actually know where they met
I
them.
don't know if she's actually asking. Oh no, there is a separate server that she was in. I'm just saying she is aware of these topics because of the way
Well, I'm just wondering
that
what
the internet is.
What server it was, but sure.
I don't know exactly the server.
Okay.
It was
Why is
another
it?
server.
Why is it that you're charging yourself with this this duty when you're a pathetic homebody who hasn't had a job in 5 years?
Because I actually have the hustle to help someone.
You do not
when
have
they
the.
need
If you
it.
had the hustle, you'd clean your room. You clean your home. You're making eggs in the microwave.
That's cool.
No, it's not cool. You need to get off the internet. You need a social worker, not this child.
Okay, but I don't need to work for people to have a right to exist. That is my position.
Well, it's not like a right to exist. What's the point of having a right to exist if you live in squalor?
Oh, so it's okay for people to just starve to death and die if you don't like them?
What is that related to what I just said? Huh?
If I'm living in squalor, that's my business, that's my home.
No, but you're inviting some other damaged individual into that business. And then you're
what is
making
your
it, like,
business
public.
calling them a damaged individual.
Well, because
Okay,
they
but
have
you're
like
the
an
one
unhappy home
calling
life
them
and they're
damaged.
planning to get trafficked across state lines by some random freak who claims to have childcare expertise.
Interesting words you're throwing out there. State lines, she's in the same country as I am. She's in the same province or state, whatever you want to call it. And if you want to say I'm a homebody
Wait, you
freak,
said it was in a
that
different.
is
I thought you said it was
really
in a different. They were in a different country.
Yeah, I thought so too.
No,
Say
I
that-
said it was in the same country.
No, you said that they didn't have universal healthcare.
And that's not what I said. I said they didn't have access to it.
Right.
Huh?
How's that make sense?
I think you're playing like word games. That doesn't make any sense.
No.
So you said
Wait,
is that because they're a foreign national or what's the deal there?
Foreign national? No,
Yeah,
what
like
are you going on about?
because it's if their parents work overseas, their parents live overseas, are they like a foreigner? If they come over, so they don't have like they're not on the universal healthcare program, or what's the deal here? What do you mean they don't have access to it?
They don't have access to their own medical information, that's why.
They don't have
That
access
was
to
the
it?
concern.
You
What does
don't
that
need it.
even
You just
mean?
go and
They-
fill out
they-
with like your social security and
Yeah,
fill
you
out
have
an application online.
like an ID card.
That
I
doesn't
think
make
would be
sense.
sufficient.
Well, that's fair if they have it.
Well, you said it like confidently,
information if
and
they
want
now it
to.
sounds like you
You're
don't know what you're
acting like
talking
you
about.
know what you're talking about, but you don't. This is like the whole thing. You think you've probably done more harm than good
Absolutely, I
here,
did.
almost definitely.
No, yeah,
No.
thank you. Definitely done more harm than good.
And I do not owe the system my right to exist by like.
Well, the system is helping
serving
you
some other
exist, no?
rich
Yeah. You only exist because of the system.
And
You're
that's
starving in the
good.
gutter right now without the system.
Yeah, like
And that's fine.
you're
Then
making
I'll
like microwave
starve.
eggs in like likely a roach infested home. I'd like to make sure that's
Mm,
clear.
done.
You haven't had a job for 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
The system is keeping you alive.
Good. Then let me have my pathetic existence.
Yeah, but don't bring anyone else into it. That's the problem.
And that's not your business.
Yeah, but it shouldn't be yours. That's the problem.
Listen, and I'll make it my business if it's my own.
No, that's you shouldn't be doing that. You're a danger to that child.
No,
my
I'm
name, I
not.
should
You're
say.
assuming I am.
Well, what do you want to have them in your home for? What benefit is that for them?
But to stay and live here, that wasn't what the situation was or the conversation. But all you're here for is to throw insults at someone for not working, and that's on you, buddy. That's your prejudice.
What?
The prejudice against people who can't contribute to society?
And
that a
in
bad
what way
thing?
do you think I'm not contributing to society?
Oh, because you don't have a
I'm
job.
not working from some corporate. Oh yeah, I'm not contributing.
There's
to
other
rich
jobs than
person's
like a
good.
corporate job, right?
I'm not contributing to a rich person.
You can work at like what's the shit called? Like the nonprofit, a co-op type thing.
Yeah.
Like you could do something
I'll
to like better
contribute
your society.
positively to community by not pocketing money into a rich person's pocket. And
What is
helping
it?
people
What did
who
I just
actually
say
fucking
about a
matter.
nonprofit or a co-op? You could do something beneficial. You could be picking up trash on the side of the road, but you're not. You're living at home making microwave eggs.
Volunteer.
I wouldn't mind that if they actually made it simple to apply for one.
Well,
You just go
I
and
think it would be.
ask.
You just volunteer. It's like volunteer work.
Yeah, it's not exact. You still have to
I'm
register.
almost certain it's exact. You have to like.
Wait, can you not?
Are you like a
register for
danger
it?
to the trash? Are you gonna hurt the trash in some way?
Throw it away. That would be good, but no, it's my physical issues as well.
So you are like a total debilitated wretch, is what I'm hearing. So I was right when I say you have no benefit.
In a lot of ways. So, in your aspect, somebody that has no benefit and can't work if they are disabled should just starve and die. They shouldn't be allowed to live.
No, I think you shouldn't involve yourself with other people. You should just live your own life and not try to traffic some child across state lines to come live with you. That's what I think.
Yeah, whatever.
Well, it's not whatever. You're doing something that's bad.
I don't know. There's multiple issues that were if I could go into it, I would.
Well, you should know what your disabilities are. Like you get paid for something every month, right? You get paid from disability every month. Like I know, like Canadian disability. I'm assuming that's where you are. Is like stupid easy to get, but like, what are you on disability for?
Well, I wouldn't say it's easy, but yeah, I am
pretty
on
easy.
disability.
Letty's boyfriend still is on disability, and that man has never worked a day in his life. What is your disability?
Well, the only issue is that if you're applying when you're older, not so much. My cousin got denied, even though she does have problems.
Sure. So, like, what exactly? Like, do you have like an actual diagnosis of like something other than depression?
Yes, I've had asthma and arthritis and all kinds of things.
Do you think any of that could be fixed by being active?
Yeah, like losing weight.
Going outside.
And losing weight.
Going and taking dogs for a walk at a shelter.
I have been trying.
And losing weight.
Yeah, I am losing the weight. I had to literally get thyroid medication for that.
Oh, it's a thyroid
And I am
issue.
active.
It's more common than people think.
So you are able to do something like go volunteer somewhere. You're not like that disabled, whatever.
On a regular basis? I don't know. It depends.
Nobody here is saying a regular basis. Like it's just to go and be like exist around people. It is important to like socialize and to be out around other people. You know that, right?
Oh, if you're saying that, I don't know what you mean by not socializing. Like I said, I'm out with the community groups.
Like with people on the regular. Like on like 3 days a week, you go to a pet shelter and go and walk dogs. Like it's not difficult to do that.
If I could do 3 days a week, but I can't walk dogs. But yeah,
we'll start with like one. Start like with an afternoon.
I'm just throwing out examples. I'm not saying you have to do like jump in head first. I'm just saying there are solutions. I'm just hearing a lot of like reasons as to why you can't, and it's hard for us to be like give you benefit when you're just only giving us doubt.
No, I'm granting you that. I just don't find the options here. That's why.
And that kind of comes back to the original problem of if you can't find the solutions for yourself, then why should you offer solutions for a kid?
In terms of the resources for sheltering and that, there is. That's why.
You should not take care of other people if you have to ask for help for even yourself as far as your existence. So like socially, physically, with your housing, whatever wise, like you still get paid from disability. That's still getting help. Regardless of whether it's a job or whatever.
And getting help is not a problem.
Okay.
Getting help is not an issue, and there's no reason to shame people for that.
I'm not saying no. I'm not saying that. I'm saying I have a hard time with getting help myself. I get it. I'm not saying there's a problem there. I'm just saying that it's hard for me or most people to give you the benefit of like offering that or to welcome that space to anybody if you aren't getting help yourself. That's what I'm trying to say.
If I'm not getting help myself, I already stated I am. I don't know where this is going.
I'm just saying you are in no place to help people if you are still struggling yourself, is what I'm trying to fucking say.
You can't walk dogs 3 times a week. You shouldn't be helping people.
Oh, really? So I can't just bring them over somewhere that I can have time for? If I have time in a day where I have the energy to go out and do such a thing, I can. But on a regular basis, not so much. That doesn't mean I can't just get out one day or so.
Well, you should do that instead of trying to help random people on the internet who you cannot help.
And I have been helping people in my life as well. So, thank you.
You know, a lot of what you say rings hollow when, like, your first instinct after being blown out of Tipster's community was to try to ruin his life. Like, you talk about wanting to stop people from committing suicide. One of the biggest reasons people commit suicide is losing all of their income. So why was that like your first instinct to try to ruin his life?
I wasn't going to take away his income.
Well, why did you bring it up at all? Why was that relevant to bring up?
Because in terms of him being a socialist at all, he's hypocritical.
Yeah, Tipster is a fat hypocrite. Everyone knew that. We knew that going in.
Yeah. But in terms of that, it was more so to point out to him. I think he's still a fucking idiot. He didn't get it. But
yeah,
regardless, yeah,
like you're talking about how he's delusional when we're speaking to you right now. Is that not like ironic to you?
No, because you're bringing up points that are not relevant to the situation.
You think Tipster might respond the exact same way?
Do I give a fuck what he thinks?
Why should we give a fuck what you think? Right?
Then don't. Why do you care then? Why are you here?
Because you're trying to harm people and you think it's helping.
I'm harming someone by redirecting them to a resource that could help them. Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's not really what happened, though, is it? You offered them to come and stay at your house where they would undoubtedly be in the worst position. Also, you just injected.
Stay at my house where I could redirect them the next day to a resource that will help them, that will take them in.
Why not do that without putting them in your home? That's dirty and disgusting.
I could do that. That's pretty much.
No, you should do that. And it's actually, you shouldn't be involved at all.
No, I will be if I need to be. I need to step
in. You
don't
need to be. That's the problem. This is the delusion I'm talking about.
Yeah, there's no circumstance where you need to be, or even where you should be. Literally no circumstance where you should be doing that.
You offered zero value to, like I said, society broadly. I don't know how you can offer value to this child who needs help.
I'm offering value in terms of helping people in my community as well as some people online.
Okay,
how are you helping people?
How are you helping people? You just said a minute ago you're helping people.
Can't walk dogs.
How do you do that? How do you help people? What do you do?
I offer my support.
How? What sort of support? To who?
I don't know what other elaboration you need.
Well, because there's many types of support.
Anything more specific than that, yeah. Anything more
specific. We know
it's
not financial support.
No, I don't need to bring up any more specifics.
I just don't believe that. I just think you're lying again, because you lied about the familiarity you had with the services in your area. You lied about being a digital activist. You just meant that you're like a producer sped for Discords. Like, I think you're just lying again. I don't. Yeah, you don't do activism. You don't do any activism.
You're like laughing
on your side to think of what you want.
What activism do you do?
Yeah, because I see you're just attacking and issues that have nothing to do with the main points, and this is
No, it's
going
about
These
how
are all
you're
the main points.
characterizing
These are all in your
yourself.
videos. Yeah, this. Okay, they left.
Oh,
We won.
thank you. I don't
Oh.
understand.
I don't know. I want to know what social worker, like child care specialist, would tell some like obese microwave egger that they can traffic a child across like province state lines without meeting with the child or like knowing the child's situation, knowing the parents. You're just making shit up. You're lying. Sorry. Not sorry, actually. That's fucked up. I said that. I'm not sorry. You're a freak.
Well,
I don't. I think it was very shitty for them to do that. I think if you're gonna like, you can't say stuff like this and then just complain about how people are calling you a creep or whatever. Like inherently, it's creepy to do.
Like it's
regardless.
like reading it on paper. That's grooming, surely, right? Like everyone would read this and think you're grooming the child. That's what's
I
happening.
mean, I don't know what the law is in their province or whatever, but I could see it being considered kidnapping. Like,
well, it's like it wouldn't be that weird, but it's the fact that they're injecting that. Like, you know, it's one thing to just talk to a 16-year-old on Discord. Like, okay, whatever. But when you inject yourself into a situation where you say the reason why I'm putting myself here is because I heard they've not got any parents around or any adults that could potentially step in. Also, they're suicidal. Also, I'm offering them to live with me. It's like all these elements together makes it just super suspicious.
Yeah, it's like you're taking advantage of like the most vulnerable child imaginable. I keep saying child. This is a 16-year-old. Everyone, surely everyone knows what I mean. Minor, not like a fucking 12-year-old.
Child, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like the most vulnerable person you can imagine. No parents.
Yeah, the most vulnerable for someone in that position, for sure. Yeah. Like, trans, suicidal, no parents around, potentially getting kicked out. Just okay. Yeah, if you wanted to groom someone,
they can go pick them up or anything. Like it's not like they're going and getting them and then bringing them back, or like you're saying, hey, come over here. We don't like there's anything could happen in that trip, let alone whatever. But it's very irresponsible.
And just it's the positioning yourself as though you like know something, like you've got all this, connection with the local community to help them out when it's just not
when
true.
You can't
like
when you can't rock on to JSPCA and go fucking feed a dog 3 days a week.
Well, it wasn't Keffel's an activist and she just ran off with 100K. Like, what is going on? I don't understand why you'd be okay with that.
Oh, that's about it, isn't it?
So, yeah. I think that's done. It's content done.